You ever feel like fear has got you locked in place? Like you want to take that step, you want to chase that dream, but something invisible holds you back. That little voice in your head telling you, what if you fail? What if you're not good enough? See, fear is sneaky like that. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as being realistic. But let me tell you something, fear is the one thing standing between you and the life you're supposed to be living. And if you let it win, you'll never know where you could have been. Listen, I've been there. That moment where doubt creeps in, where you start questioning yourself. Maybe you feel like a fraud, like you don't really belong in the room. That fraudulent feeling, it's a lie. It's fear whispering in your ear, making you second guess what you already know deep inside you are capable. But here's the truth, every successful person you admire has felt that exact same way. The only difference, they didn't let fear make their decisions. You gotta understand something about fear, it doesn't go away. You can't wait for it to disappear before you act. You have to move through it. That's what separates people who make it from people who don't. The world is filled with folks who let fear win, who let negative influences hold them back, who stayed in their comfort zones instead of stepping into their greatness. But you're not about to be one of them. See, most people think fear is a warning, but in reality, it's a signpost. It's pointing you toward exactly what you need to do. When you feel that nervous energy, when your heart is racing, that's not a signal to stop, that's a signal to go. That's your moment, your opportunity to push past the old version of yourself and step into a new one. And let me tell you something, this isn't just about taking risks for the sake of it. This is about rewriting your mindset. It's about breaking out of the mental cage that's been keeping you small. Every time you let fear make the call, you reinforce the idea that you're not enough. But every time you push past it, you prove to yourself that that's where real personal growth happens. You want to know how to win against fear, how to finally stop letting it dictate your life. Stick with me, because I'm about to break it all down. Step by step, you won't look at fear the same way again. Fear is like an illusionist. It makes things seem bigger, scarier, and more impossible than they actually are. It builds walls there are only open doors. It turns whispers of doubt into roaring alarms in your head. But here's the real psychology fact. You need to understand fear is a prediction, not a reality. It's your mind trying to protect you from something that hasn't even happened yet. Think about that for a second. How many times have you stopped yourself from going after something, not because you failed, but because you imagined you would? That's fear winning before the battle even begins. And let me tell you, this is exactly why so many people stay stuck. It's not because they aren't talented enough. It's not because they don't have the right connections. It's not even because they don't work hard. It's because their mindset is chained to fear. They're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting to feel ready. But let me ask you, what if that moment never comes? What if waiting is just another way of letting fear run the show? I've learned it's something powerful. You can either be controlled by fear, or you can use it as fuel. See, fear and excitement, they feel the same in your body. The only difference, the story you attach to it. When you feel that rush, you can tell yourself, this is too much, I can't handle it. Or you can say, this means I'm on the right path. The way you frame that feeling changes everything. That's why the most successful entrepreneurs, the most resilient athletes, the most powerful leaders, they don't avoid fear, they dance with it. Think about it. You ever see someone step into a big moment with absolute confidence and wonder, how do they do that? Let me tell you a secret, they're still scared. But they've trained themselves to push forward anyway. That's the difference between people who create something great and people who spend their lives wishing they had. Fear is always gonna be there, but you gotta decide what role it plays. Does it sit in the driver's seat, or does it ride in the back while you take control? Now, let's talk about setbacks. Because fear loves to show up the moment things don't go as planned. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if maybe you should have played it safe. But listen, setbacks are not stop signs. They are part of the journey. Every person who's ever built something meaningful has failed over and over again. They faced rejection, lost money, embarrassed themselves, made mistakes, but they kept going. You know why? Because they understood this failure is a step forward if you use it right. The problem is, most people take failure personally. They think it means they aren't good enough, instead of realizing it's just feedback. It's just life saying, hey, not this way, try another. But fear tells you that failure is the end of the road. Fear tells you that one mistake defines you. That's a lie. If you're serious about goal setting, about creating real personal growth, you have to be willing to fail forward. You got to be willing to look at a loss and say, all right, what did I learn? Instead of saying, I quit. Let me tell you something, if you keep letting fear dictate your choices, you will wake up one day full of regret. And I don't say that to scare you, I say that to wake you up. Because at the end of your life, you won't remember the times you played it safe. You'll remember the chances you didn't take, the dreams you let die because you were too afraid to chase them. And that's a pain worse than any failure. So the question is, how do you stop this cycle? How do you break free from the fear that's been running your life for so long? In the next part, we're going to go even deeper. I'm going to show you the mindset shift that will change the way you face fear forever. Stick with me. Fear is a habit. Most people don't realize that. They think fear is something you feel, but in reality, it's something you practice. Every time you hesitate, every time you hold yourself back, every time you let doubt talk you out of something, you are reinforcing fear. You are strengthening it like a muscle. And if you do that long enough, it becomes automatic. It becomes the default setting in your mind. But here's the good news, courage is a habit too. Confidence is a habit. And just like fear, you can train it. You can practice stepping up instead of stepping back. You can train yourself to recognize fear for what it really is, an opportunity to grow. Every time you push through, every time you act in spite of fear, you weaken its grip on you. You take back control. Now, let's talk about something real. Fear is not just in your head, it's in your environment too. The people you surround yourself with, the voices you listen to, the influences you allow into your mind, those things shape your beliefs more than you realize. If you are constantly around people who play small, people who doubt themselves, people who never take risks, guess what? That mindset rubs off on you. It conditions you to see the world the same way. Negative influences are everywhere. They might come from family, from friends, from society telling you what's realistic. But let me tell you something, the people who accomplish great things, they are the ones who ignore realistic. They are the ones who dare to dream bigger, to believe in themselves even when no one else does. If you want to break free from fear, you have to guard your mind like your life depends on it. Because it does. Entrepreneurship, goal setting, personal growth, these things require a mindset that is bigger than fear. That's why so many people fail. Not because they lack the ability, but because they never develop the mindset required to keep going. They start something, they face a little resistance, and then they quit. Why? Because fear tells them this is too hard. Maybe I'm not meant for this. And they believe it. Let me make this clear, fear is a liar. It will always tell you the worst case scenario. It will always magnify your insecurities. It will always try to convince you that you're not ready, not good enough, not capable. But fear doesn't know the future. It's just a voice, an echo from your past, trying to keep you stuck. and you have the power to silence it. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history happened, and because someone ignored their fear. Every innovation, every breakthrough, every legendary success, it all started with a person who was scared but moved forward anyway. Imagine if they had let fear win. Imagine if they had listened to the doubts, the criticism, the what-ifs. The world would be a much smaller place. And your world will stay small too if you don't learn to break past the limits fear tries to set on you. This isn't just about motivation. This is about rewiring the way you think. Because if you don't control your mind, it will control you. And fear is always looking for an opening. It's waiting for a weak moment, a setback, a failure to creep back in and take over. That's why you have to stay ahead of it. You have to make courage your default setting. You have to build the habit of acting before fear has a chance to talk you out of it. The best motivational video, the best inspiration, the best speech in the world won't change your life unless you take action. And action is the one thing fear cannot survive. The moment you step forward, fear loses its power. That's why successful people move fast. They don't wait for the perfect time. They don't overthink. They act. They take the leap and they figure things out on the way down. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? What if I make the wrong move? Listen, failure is not the enemy and action is. The real mistake isn't trying and failing. The real mistake is never trying at all, because that guarantees failure. And fear loves when you stay in that place. Fear loves when you sit on the sidelines watching other people take the risks, watching other people live the life you could have lived. But not you. Not anymore. In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to take that first step, how to break the cycle of fear, and how to start winning against the doubts in your head. Stay with me, this is where the real shift happens. Fear is a thief. It steals opportunities. It steals dreams. It steals time. And time, that's the one thing you don't get back. You can recover from failure. You can bounce back from rejection. You can rebuild after a loss. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. That's why fear is so dangerous, because it doesn't just hold you back today. It keeps you stuck for years. Think about all the things you could have done by now if fear hadn't been in the way. The business you could have started, the skills you could have mastered, the places you could have gone, the person you could have become. But instead, fear had you waiting for the right moment, waiting until you felt ready, waiting for some kind of guarantee that everything would work out. But let's be real, there is no guarantee. There never was. The only thing guaranteed is that if you do nothing, nothing changes. This is where most people lose. They let fear make their choices. They settle for a life that's smaller than what they're capable of. And you know what the saddest part is? Most of them don't even realize it's happening. Fear doesn't always show up as panic or anxiety. Sometimes it's just comfort. That slow, quiet voice telling you, you're fine where you are. No need to take risks. No need to push yourself. But listen, comfort is not your friend. It feels good now, but it leads to regret later. And let's talk about regret, because that's a feeling you do not want to live with. See, when people reach the end of their lives, they don't regret the things they did. They regret the things they didn't do, the chances they didn't take, the dreams they let die. And that's what fear is leading you to war-day life of looking back, wishing you had been braver, wishing you had gone for it. And now, let me ask you something. If you really knew that you only had 5 years left to live, how would you be living differently? Would you still be waiting? Would you still be hesitating? Or would you finally start taking action? Because the truth is, none of us know how much time we have left. If you keep postponing your dreams, you might wake up one day and realize you waited too long. Fear convinces you that you have time. It makes you believe that someday you'll be ready, that someday you'll finally take action. But someday is a lie. The only time you have is right now. And if you don't start now, when will you? Now I get it. Taking action isn't easy. Pushing past fear isn't something that happens overnight. It takes work. It takes rewiring your mindset. It takes learning how to act in spite of fear. Because fear is always going to be there, but you don't have to obey it. Let's break it down. How do you actually beat fear? How do you go from someone who hesitates, who doubts, who overthinks to someone who moves? It starts with a shift in perspective. You have to start looking at fear differently. Most people see fear as a stop sign, but successful people, they see it as a green light. They understand that when fear shows up, it means they're on the right path, because fear only shows up when something matters. It only gets loud when you're stepping into something bigger than yourself. That's why the best entrepreneurs, the greatest athletes, the most successful people, they don't wait to feel ready. They act while they're scared. They use fear as fuel. They understand that on the other side of fear is everything they want. And here's the thing, fear is only powerful when you let it sit in your mind too long. The longer you hesitate, the stronger it gets. That's why the most effective way to beat fear is to act fast. You feel the fear, and you move before it has time to paralyze you. You don't give yourself the chance to overthink, to second guess. You just go. This is where most people get stuck. They wait too long. They let fear build up in their minds until it feels impossible to overcome. But what if, instead of waiting, you just did it? What if, instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong, you just took the first step? Because once you move, once you start, fear loses its grip. Think about it. Have you ever been scared to do something, but once you actually did, you realized it wasn't as bad as you thought? That's because fear is a liar. It exaggerates. It creates worst-case scenarios that almost never happen. And once you push past it, you see the truth. It was never as big as it seemed. So here's what I want you to do. Stop letting fear make your choices. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time, right now. In the next part, we're going to talk about the biggest enemy of fear, momentum. How to build it, how to use it, and how to make sure fear never holds you back again. Stay with me. Momentum is everything. It's the force that separates the people who talk about success from the ones who actually live it. See, most people think success comes from motivation, but that's not true. Motivation is unreliable. One day you feel inspired, the next day you don't. And if you're waiting for motivation to push you into action, you're going to stay stuck. The real key, momentum, once you get moving, once you take that first step, everything changes. You stop overthinking. You stop second guessing. You stop letting fear control you because action gives you proof that you're capable. The problem is, most people never build momentum. They stay in the cycle of hesitation. They let fear keep them in their comfort zone. And the longer they stay there, the harder it is to break free. Think about this. When an object is at rest, it takes a lot of force to start moving. But once it's in motion, it takes far less energy to keep it going. The same thing applies to your life. The hardest part is always the beginning. That first move, that first risk, that first leap. But once you get going, once you build that momentum, things start to flow. Success starts stacking on top of success. And suddenly, you look back and realize that fear is no longer in control. You are. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Building momentum requires discipline. It requires taking action before you feel ready. It requires pushing forward even when you don't feel like it. And that's where most people fail. They let feelings dictate their actions. They wake up and say, I don't feel like working today. I don't feel like chasing my goals today. And guess what? Fear loves that mindset because fear wants you to stay inactive. Fear wants you to take a day off, then another, until one day turns into years of wasted potential. Now let's talk about something real. The difference between successful people and everyone else isn't talent. It's not intelligence. It's not even luck. It's their ability to keep going even when they don't feel like it. They don't rely on motivation. They create momentum. They understand that success isn't built on how you feel, it's built on what you do. And this is where psychology comes in. There's a simple trick you can use to beat fear and build momentum instantly. It's called the 5-second rule. The moment you feel fear creeping in, the moment doubt starts whispering in your ear, you count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move. You take action before fear has a chance to stop you. Why does this work? Because fear thrives hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. But if you act immediately, you cut off its power before it even starts. Now, let's bring this into real life. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a diving board. You're looking down at the water. Your heart is racing. Your mind is running through all the things that could go wrong. What if I hit the water wrong? What if it's too deep? What if I can't swim fast enough? That's fear talking. That's hesitation keeping you stuck. But if you just jump, if you don't give yourself time to overthink, you'll realize something incredible. You were always capable of doing it. Fear just wanted to make you believe otherwise. This applies to everything: starting a business, chasing a dream, taking a risk. The longer you hesitate, the harder it gets. But if you just go, if you just take that first step, you'll see that most of your fears were just illusions. And let's go even deeper, because fear isn't just in your head, it's also in your habits. The things you do every single day are either feeding fear or feeding momentum. If you wake up every day and hit snooze, if you spend hours scrolling through social media instead of working on your goals, if you avoid challenges because they make you uncomfortable, you are training yourself to live in fear. You are strengthening the habit of not taking action. But the opposite is also true. If you wake up and take control of your day, if you push yourself to do things even when they scare you, if you take risks even when you don't feel ready, you are training yourself to be unstoppable. And that's what success really is. It's not about luck. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about building the kind of mindset where fear has no control over you anymore. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if I try and fail? What if I take action and it doesn't work? Let me tell you something. Failure is part of the process. No one succeeds without failing first. No one gets it perfect on the first try. But the people who win in life, they don't let failure stop them. They let failure teach them. Every setback, every mistake, every challenge, it's all part of the journey. And if you're not failing, you're not growing. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs, the greatest athletes, the people who have changed the world. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They didn't let fear hold them back. They took risks. They failed. They learned it, and they kept going. That's how momentum is built, not by waiting for the perfect moment, but by creating it through consistent action. Now, here's your challenge. Starting today, I want you to take one action you've been afraid of. One thing you've been putting off. One thing that fear has been holding you back from. And I want you to do it before you have time to talk yourself out of it, because this is the moment where everything changes. This is where fear loses and you win. And in the next part, we're going to talk about something even more powerful, the hidden fear that most people don't even realize is controlling their lives. If you thought fear of failure was bad, Wait until you see the fear that's even more dangerous. Stay with me. There's a fear even more dangerous than the fear of failure, a fear that keeps more people stuck than anything else. And the worst part, most people don't even realize they have it. It's the fear of success. You heard me right. Success scares people more than failure ever could. Now, that might sound crazy at first. Why would anyone be afraid of success? Isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we're working for? But here's the truth: success comes with pressure. It comes with responsibility. It comes with change. And change, that's what people really fear. Because the moment you start succeeding, the moment you start twinning, everything shifts. The way people see you changes. The way you see yourself changes. And for a lot of people, that's terrifying. See, failure is comfortable. If you fail, you get to stay where you are. You get to keep doing what you've always done. You don't have to challenge yourself. You don't have to grow. You don't have to risk losing people who might not like the new version of you. But success forces you to level up. It forces you to leave behind old habits, old mindsets, and sometimes even old relationships. And that's what really holds people back. Not failure. Fear of becoming someone they don't recognize. Fear of stepping into a new version of themselves. Fear of outgrowing the people around them. Because let's be real, when you start succeeding, when you start winning, not everyone is going to be happy for you. Some people will celebrate you, but others will try to pull you back. Not because they hate you, but because your success reminds them of everything they're not doing. And that's hard to face. It's hard to know that as you grow, some people will fall away. Some relationships won't survive your success. Some friendships won't make it to the next level. But that's the price of becoming the person you're meant to be. You can't hold on to everything and everyone while you're trying to rise. You have to be willing to let go of what no longer serves you. And let's talk about that. Because one of the biggest things keeping you stuck is the people around you, the influences in your life, the voices in your ear, the ones telling you to stay safe, to not take risks, to not dream too big. They mean well, they think they're protecting you, but what they're really doing is projecting their own fears onto you. And if you let them, they will talk you out of your own greatness. You ever notice how successful people surround themselves with other successful people? That's not a coincidence. That's psychology. The people you spend the most time with shape your mindset. If you're around people who are always complaining, always making excuses, always doubting themselves, guess what? That mindset rubs off on you. But if you're around people who think big, who take action, who refuse to settle, that mindset becomes yours too. This is why environment is everything. If you want to escape fear, if you want to build momentum, if you want to win, you have to be intentional about who and what you surround yourself with. You have to cut out the negative influences, the people who drain your energy, the voices that make you doubt yourself. Because success is hard enough on its own, you don't need to carry other people's fears on top of your own. And let's go deeper, because this isn't just about the people around you. This is also about the stories you tell yourself, the beliefs you carry, the things you've been programmed to believe about yourself and your potential. If you grew up hearing that success was for other people, if you were taught to believe that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough, that belief is shaping your reality. Because here's something most people don't understand: your mind is always looking for proof of what you already believe. If you believe you're not good enough, your brain will find reasons to confirm that. If you believe you're not capable, your brain will prove you right. But if you start shifting that belief, if you start telling yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you do deserve success, your brain will start finding proof of that too. This is why mindset is everything. Because success isn't just about hard work. It's about belief. It's about reprogramming your mind to see yourself as someone who wins, someone who deserves success, someone who doesn't let fear make their choices. So let me ask you, what beliefs are you carrying that are keeping you stuck? What thoughts are running in the background, convincing you that you're not ready, that you're not capable, that you're not worthy of success? Because until you change those, no amount of action will save you. You can have the best plans, the best strategies, the best opportunities, but if deep down you don't believe you deserve it, you will sabotage yourself every time. That's why the work isn't just external. It's internal. It's rewiring your brain. It's changing the way you speak to yourself. It's catching yourself when fear creeps in and saying, no, that's not my truth anymore. And here's what I want you to do. Starting today, I want you to challenge your fears. Every time fear tells you you're not good enough, you prove it wrong. Every time doubt creeps in, you shut it down. You stop listening to the voice that tells you to wait, to hesitate, to play it safe. You start listening to the part of you that knows you were made for more. Because the only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is the decision to stop letting fear win. And in the next part, we're going to talk about something even more powerful: how to break free from fear permanently. How to rewire your mind so that fear never controls you again. Stay with me. Fear doesn't just live in your mind, it lives in your habits. It's in the way you hesitate before taking action. It's in the way you overthink instead of trusting yourself. It's in the way you wait for the right time instead of making the time right. Fear hides in your daily decisions and the little moments you don't even notice. And if you're not careful, fear will shape your entire life. That's why the only way to truly beat fear is through consistent action. Not just once, not just when you feel motivated, but every single day. Because fear doesn't just disappear on its own. It has to be rewired, replaced, outworked. You have to prove to yourself over and over that you are bigger than the fear. That's how you break free for good. And here's the truth: there is no perfect moment. There is no guarantee that things will go smoothly. But if you let that stop you, you'll never move. You'll spend your life waiting instead of creating. And let me tell you, waiting is the most dangerous thing you can do. Because time is moving whether you act or not. Time does not wait for you to be ready. And if you don't take control of your own story, you will wake up one day wishing you had started sooner, wishing you hadn't let fear make your decisions for you. And that is a pain far worse than failure. So let's talk about failure, because fear makes failure seem like the end, when really, failure is just part of the process. Nobody wins without failing. Nobody reaches greatness without stumbling. But fear tricks you into believing that failure means you should quit. That failure is a sign you're not good enough. Let me tell you something: failure is not a stop sign. It's a lesson. It's a stepping stone. It's a test. It's the universe asking you, how bad do you really want this? Because if you want it bad enough, you won't let failure stop you. You will learn from it. You will adapt. You will get better. And that's what separates successful people from everyone else. It's not that they never fail, it's that they never let failure define them. And look, I get it. Fear doesn't just come from nowhere. A lot of it comes from the world around you, from society, from the expectations placed on you, from the way you were raised. Maybe you grew up hearing things like, be realistic, don't aim too high. What if you fail? Maybe people in your life told you that success was for other people, that you didn't have what it takes. Let me tell you right now, that is a lie. That is nothing but other people's fears passed down to you. That is not your truth. But if you don't break that cycle, if you don't challenge those beliefs, you will spend your entire life living by rules that were never meant for you. And here's the real danger. Fear doesn't just stop you from winning. It kills your potential. It steals your future. It makes you live a life that is smaller than what you were meant for. And one day, you're going to look back and realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you wanted was you. So what's the answer? How do you break free? How do you make sure fear never wins again? It all comes down to one thing: momentum. Fear loses its power when you stop thinking and start moving. When you make the decision to act, even when you're scared, even when you don't feel ready, even when you don't know what's going to happen. Because the act of moving forward weakens fear's grip on you. That's why successful people don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for fears to go away. They move first and the confidence follows. Because action creates confidence. Action creates belief. Every time you do the thing you were afraid of, you prove to yourself that fears was a liar. Think about it. How many times in your life have you been scared to do something only to realize later that it wasn't as bad as you thought? That's because fears exaggerates the risk. It makes things seem bigger than they really are. But the only way to see that is to push through it. And here's something powerful: your brain is always learning from your actions. If you avoid things because of fears, your brain learns, oh, we don't do hard things. But if you take action despite fears, your brain learns, oh, we can handle this. And over time, fear stops controlling you. But the key is consistency. You can't do it once and expect fears to disappear forever. You have to train yourself to move, even when you're scared, to keep going, even when doubt creeps. And the more you do it, the stronger you get, the easier it becomes. Because confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And fears is just the absence of confidence. It's the voice that tries to keep you small. But the moment you decide to act, the moment you decide to push through, fears loses its power. So here's what I want you to do. Stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop letting fears steal your life. Make the decision right now that fears will not control you anymore. That's starting today. You will take action, no matter how small. Because one step is all it takes to start building momentum. And the next part, we're going to take this even further. We're going to break down exactly how to rewire your brain for unstoppable confidence. How to make sure fears never hold you back again. Stay with me. Now, we've talked about how fears tricks you, how it controls your mind, your habits, your decisions. But now it's time to break that cycle for good. Because if you don't, fears will keep running your life and you'll wake up one day asking, what if? I don't want you living with what ifs. I want you to live with certainty that you gave everything you had, that you tried, that you pushed past every doubt, every moment of hesitation, every negative voice telling you you can't. Because here's the truth. The only way to know your true potential is to go for it. Now, let's get real. Rewiring your mind to be fearless is not easy. It takes work. It takes intentional effort every single day. But let me tell you what's harder: living a life that isn't truly yours. Waking up every day in the same routine, settling for less, staying in your comfort zone because it feels safe. Now here's the thing: safety is a trap. Safety is an illusion. The real danger, the real risk, it's not failure. It's not rejection. The real risk is staying the same. The real risk is looking back years from now and realizing that fear stole your dreams, that you let it win. You have one life, just one. And what you do with it, that's up to you. Nobody else. and not your parents, not your friends, and not society. You so stop asking for permission to be great. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop letting fears whisper lies into your mind, because fears will always be there. The question is, are you going to let it stop you, or are you going to push through? And let me tell you something, you are not alone in this. Every single person you look up to, every single person who has ever done something great, they felt exactly what you feel right now. The fears, the doubt, the what if I fail. But the difference is they moved anyway. They acted. They didn't let fears win. I want you to think about that for a second. What if they had let fears stop them? What if they had listened to the voice in their head saying, "You're not good enough"? The world would have never seen their greatness. And the same goes for you. You have greatness inside you, but it's up to you to bring it out. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to push you out of your comfort zone. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And I know it's not always easy. Life will test you. You will face setbacks. You will have days where you feel like a fraud, like you're not good enough. But let me tell you something, those moments, those are defining moments. Because in those moments, you have a choice. You can let fears win, or you can fight back. And fighting back is not about being fearless, it's about being brave. It's about feeling the fears and taking action anyway. Because courage is not the absence of fears, it's moving forward despite the fears. And that's what I need you to do, move forward. Today, right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, because every second you wait, fears grows stronger. Every time you hesitate, fears takes more control. But the second you act, the second you push through, fears loses its power. So here's what I want you to do. Think about that one thing you've been putting off. That one decision you've been avoiding. That one step you've been scared to take. Now, I want you to decide right now that you are going to do it. No more excuses. No more overthinking. No more waiting. Because if you don't do it now, when will you? You have everything you need inside you. The only thing stopping you is fears. And fears is a liar. Fears will never give you what you want, but action will. So take that step, make that move. Prove to yourself that fears does not control you, that you control your life. And if this message hit you, if you felt this, don't keep it to yourself. We are wisdom, recorded your knowledge source. Subscribe and like for more content, because this is just the beginning of your journey. Let's go.